70 years of captivity. Now, a commentary or parallel with them would be Haggai. You would also find as well with even Malachi. But Zechariah deals with the Gentile nation after the rebuilding of Israel. I want us to look at as Israel's coming back to that freedom or rebuilding here in chapter number 1. And I want to read the first 6 verses. Before we get into the visions, before we get into the prophecy, what's going to take place, we find here as they're bringing or coming back God's command for them and God's desire for them in turning unto Him. And so if we pick up in Zechariah chapter number 1 and verse number 1, it says, "In the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying, the Lord hath been sore displeased with your fathers. And therefore say thou unto them, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Turn ye unto me, and saith the Lord of hosts, and I will turn unto you, saith the Lord of hosts." In verse 4, "Be ye not as your fathers, unto whom the former prophets cried, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Turn ye now from your evil ways, and from your evil doings. But they did not hear, nor hearken unto me, saith the Lord." And verse number 5, "Your fathers, where are they? And the prophets, do they live forever? But my words and my statutes, which I commanded my servants the prophets, did they not take hold on your fathers? And they returned and said, Like as the Lord of hosts thought to do unto us according to our ways, and according to our doings, so hath He dealt with us." Now I want you to think about this passage of Scripture for a moment as we look at 6 verses. We find at the very end of verse number 6, he's talking about that God is going to reward according to our actions. God is going to give us or compensate us according to the way that we've done. If we disobey Him, it goes back to the law of sowing and reaping, if you would. You sow more, or you reap more than you've sown. You're going to sow this or reap the same thing that you have sown. And so we look at this sowing and reaping, and we look at this as God is dealing here with Israel. And He tells them that it's going to be according to your ways, according to your doings. I will deal with you in this way. We look at America and we see the demise and downfall of America. And may I tell you, the apostasy has been going on for a long time within the church. It hasn't just happened. We know that in the last days there's going to be a falling away. It's already here. They're falling away. And in this falling away, God is dealing with them. He's dealing with us as a nation as we're no longer reaching our nation. It's great that we're sending missionaries out, but may I tell you, there's going to be a time where missionaries are going to need to be sent in. England's a great example. England used to be the missionary hub. You send all the missionaries out. Send missionaries to India. Send missionaries to America. Now America sends missionaries to England. It's an atheist nation. And there's going to be a time, if the Lord tarries long enough, that America will be in that same boat. And so as we're considering what's taking place here, He gives us the word of warning, if you would, is turn. The word of warning is turn. We find it mentioned in verse number 3. We find it mentioned in verse number 4. And in verse number 6, the word turn is not there, but it's speaking about, and they returned. And so we know here that what we've got to understand is that we've acknowledged what God is saying to us and what God desires in us. And we return back to Him with this idea. And so we notice that we're turning to holiness. We find in verse number 3, He says, Turn ye unto me. And so we're turning unto holiness. I wonder if we would truly do a look, if we would truly examine what's in our life, or have we turned to His holiness. Now, I bring us to this because this is God's desire. This is what we have. Notice, if you would, We're turning unto holiness because of the promises that he's given us. Notice in 2 Corinthians, hold your place in Zechariah, but turn over to 2 Corinthians chapter 7. Look at verse number 1. I won't keep you long, I promise. I'll give it to you quick, but I think it'll help you. I like Wednesday nights. I believe Wednesday nights are my time to come and reload. It's been a long week already. Some would say it's halfway over. I don't know. I'm not sure that I see the halfway point. We've got meetings with our new company tomorrow. We changed contracts. A lot of things are up in the air, but I'm thankful there's one thing that's always settled, and that's God.
Amen.
And I need to reload, and so, I'm going to reload with you. Amen. We find here turning to holiness. Notice, if you would, in chapter number 7 of 2 Corinthians, look at verse number 1. We find here, it says, having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit. That's a lowercase spirit. That's speaking of our spirit. Perfecting holiness in the fear of God. Now, why would we want to perfect holiness? And some would say, well, it's because we have a fear of God. No, hold on. If we would look, it said, having therefore these promises. Because God has promised us. Well, what has He promised us? We'd have to go back up to chapter number 6. Chapter number 6 is that passage of Scripture that no one likes. They don't want to hear it. In verse number 14, be not unequally yoked with unbelievers. But it goes on down, and we find in verse number 17, wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. Now, hold on a second. This is the therefore. Come out from among them. God cannot bless us until we come out from among them. And He says, if you'll come out from among them, notice in verse number 18, not only in 17 will I receive you, in verse number 18 He says, and I will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. Do you realize what a great promise this is? If we'll purge out the filth and perfect the holiness, which is what it tells us in chapter 7, verse number 1, and God has given us these promises that we will be His, and He will treat us as a son or a daughter. Now, I know that most everyone in the room has had children. How many times has your children disappointed you? And I know some would say, boy, my children never disappoint me. I think you're lying. There's some things that they might say, some things that they might do. I guarantee you I've disappointed my folks. And if you're here and you say, well, my children never disappoint me, that's all right. Give them a little bit of time. Maybe in something that they get into. Amen. Maybe you've told them not to over and over and over, and boy, they've just wore you out all day. I'm telling you, they disappointed you. I think about the promise that God gives us. He says, come out from among them and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. Receive you. It means that we have that fellowship with Him, that communion, that closeness. Why does He say, turn unto me? Because that's what God's desiring. Why did He create humans? Why did He create man? He desires that fellowship with man. Why did He give us a Redeemer? Why did He become our Redeemer? Because it was the only redemption that we could have. But in that, if He did not redeem us, we couldn't come unto Him. Amen. Amen. And God's desire is for us to have these promises. Well, what's the promise? That we can be His son and His daughter. Now, I guarantee you there's been some times when my boys have done stuff, and they have said, I don't want to see Dad. Hasn't there? Oh, I don't want Dad to come home. And maybe even Mom said, you wait till your dad gets home. But truthfully, when we know that we're not where we're supposed to be with the Lord, what kind of communion do we have with Him? What's our prayer life like? What's our Bible study like? Where's our walk? Amen. It's not where it's supposed to be. And so we think about these promises, and we're supposed to turn unto holiness. But notice, not only because we have these promises, but also because we have been predestinated. Notice in Romans chapter number 8. Romans chapter number 8, we're here on a Wednesday night. We're trying to reload. We're trying to regroup. We're trying to get ready to go. And we'd say Romans 8:28. Everyone loves Romans 8:28. Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. Now, I bring us to this verse because I want us to know His purpose.
realize that God has not called us into happiness. He's called us into holiness. God is desiring for us to turn unto Him, which is turning unto His holiness. Now notice this. Look at verse number 29. In verse 28, it tells us according to His purpose. In verse number 29, it explains why and what His purpose is. For whom He did foreknow, He also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of His Son, that He might be the firstborn among many brethren. May I tell you that God's desire is for us to be more like Him. Amen. And you'll never be more like Him until we turn into holiness. 1 Peter chapter number 1, verse number 16, it says, because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy. We find as well in Zechariah, not only did it tell us or teach us here that we need to turn unto holiness, that we need to turn wholehearted. We need to turn wholehearted. We find in verse number 4 of Zechariah chapter 1, it's telling us, thus saith the Lord of hosts, in the middle of the verse, turn ye now from your evil ways and from your evil doings. Now, realize here what God was explaining to the fathers that would not listen, what He was explaining even to those that are coming out of captivity, is now, not later or gradual. When we know that something is wrong, what do? We're supposed to get rid of it. I think about Job. It's recorded for Job, and the Bible tells us that Job, he was a man that eschewed evil. That means that he didn't want it on him. He didn't want it around him. I don't have any part of that. And that's exactly where we need to be. We've got this idea that, well, a little bit's okay, but remember that a little sin, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. A little sin is going to destroy. I think about Ai, as Achan had decided that he was just going to take a Babylonian garment, just going to take a little bit of gold, just going to take, God said don't take any of it. And it was just a little. I mean, really, it was a goodly apparel. I mean, it was good quality. Everything was. Really, the Lord wouldn't have been ashamed of this. And we got to the point that we can justify it to say it in such a way that it was just a little bit. It's just a little bit. He said, "Turn from your evil ways and your evil doings." There's a danger that we have in just a little. There's some that are going to die from it. Some around us that are going to die. And so God is explaining to them that you need to not harbor evil in your life. I wonder if we would really look at our life and wonder, or ask the question to ourselves, have we turned wholeheartedly? I think about Caleb and Joshua. How did they get into the promised land? Because they served God or they believed God with their whole heart. I know a whole lot of Baptists that believe God, but they don't believe with their whole heart. If they did, they'd be here tonight. Amen? I mean, honestly, we say that we believe in prayer, but do we? We don't do it. And we sure don't come enough to a prayer meeting to prove it. Amen? And maybe it's because instead of worrying about air conditioning, we're worried more about air conditioning. Amen? We want comfort. That could have been a good central heat and air joke. Amen? I'm not in air conditioning. I'm in prayer conditioning. Truthfully, though, we have gotten to the point that we want comfort more and convenience more than calluses. Amen. And so are we really wholeheartedly serving? Are we wholeheartedly turning? He says, turn unto me. And if you turn unto Him, you can't hold on to the world. The two don't match. And so I look as well, turn toward healing. They're coming out of captivity. Now, I've never been in jail. I've been to the jail. And I remember when Sarah and I first started the adoption process, we'd have to do our fingerprints at the jail. Now they've gotten smart and it's a piece of glass and you put your finger on there and you can go to the UPS store and it's all done. But when we first started, you had to go back in the jail and do it. Now I remember when we took the boys with us and they had to sit out there because they couldn't go back there. They had to sit out there in the waiting room, if you would, and look through the big, 3-inch thick worth of glass. And, it's kind of nervy as the doors close and you don't have a key. And you know that the doorknob doesn't work on that side because it's just a keyhole. And so you're there. Not to mention you're going to get black stuff all over your fingers. I mean, it's messy. It was nasty. There was people in the holding cell, and they're hollering. It's not comfortable. That was the longest I've ever been in jail. And they even did my fingerprints. Amen. But think about this, 70 years worth of captivity. They would have saw their loved ones die captive. Some of them would have even got used to being captive. Some of them knew nothing but captivity. And God says that if you'll turn unto me, I'm going to turn unto you, and I'm going to reward you according to your duty. That's healing. That's healing. He said, you're not going to have to be accountable for him, or him, or her. You're going to be accountable for you. Praise the Lord. Amen. And so as well as I turn, it doesn't mean that everyone else has to turn in order to have that same benefit. Amen. I think about Revelation chapter number 3, verse number 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, then I will come in unto him and sup with him and him with me. It didn't say if the whole church will do it. No. It says if any will do it. Do you understand the healing that can come in the fact that I don't have to have everyone on board? Just me and the Lord. Amen. Just me and the Lord. Hey, He's going to take care of what's needed in my life, and those things that are holding me captive, He's going to break me free from them. Amen. It doesn't matter if everyone gives up. It doesn't matter if everyone serves wholeheartedly. It doesn't matter if everyone turns. It only matters if I turn. If I really want healing, I'll turn. Just a little thought. Zechariah, 70 years of captivity. And what a great promise to begin a new life. Turn. Turn. That's all you got to do.